Well, that was more like it, wasn't it? Familiar names, trustable teams, green screens. That's the first one. Karlsruhe, German Bundesliga 2. We will look at now and again. That's a nice start to the day. Paderborn and Hertha Berlin. We took on a 2-0 Paderborn lead. Got a goal from Hertha Berlin. And that created this potential green screen if you wanted it there. Don't forget, your reward is relative to the amount risked. So make that 53, that's 82. Triple that, you triple that. Okay? So risk, reward. Liability, reward. Good stuff. Hoover up your greens, as your mum used to say. This is a technique called drip laying, where I start to lay at 1.25, 1.19, 1.14, 1.09, 1.06, trying to capture a late goal because Magdeburg's stats were excellent. But they didn't quite get through. But hey, you only lose about a fiver. That's not too shabby, is it? Leeds and Valencia. Well, this was an unexpected 2-0 lead for Leeds. But then my software did not tell me about a Valencia red card. That sums up why at 2-0 before half time, Leeds were 1.05, which is ridiculously short odds. Valencia must have been playing their under fives side. Few 0-0s in the SPL yesterday, and this was another one of those, but Motherwell absolutely dominant in play stats wise, and this cost me very little. I think £2.75 to see if Motherwell could get the late goal. If you looked at the head-to-heads, it was absolute goal fests. But start of the season, you saw it in Belgium, a couple of 0-0s. You saw it yesterday with Hearts and Rangers and with Motherwell and Ross County. 2 0-0s. They're just feeling each other out. Spanish Olympic ladies. Well, we were very lucky here, particularly if we go match odds. But I'll get back to that later. Altac and Wattens, looking for an equaliser. The best value I could find was to back Altac in the match odds market at 10.5. And then you cash out if they score. This was based on last season's in-play stats, or last season's seasonal stats. Wattens, also known as Tyrol, were very poor last season. And this is what you do when you get that goal. 0-1 to 1-1. £30 green screen. Excellent. That's for backing Altac at 10.5. Sorry, I've lost it again. Let's get back. The +1 market is always an alternative here as well. You'd have got whopping odds for the +1 market. And I did tell you, Football Trading Profits members, got to be careful when 2.7 for Altac +1 is not a confident vote by the market makers. But if you took the risk, you get the reward. Nice 41 green there. This is the Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu. Looks like they were 2-0 down, despite absolutely dominating this match. They came from 2-0 down to 1-2. And I did show you. I think this was it. This was called averaging. So at 0-1, I'm sure that the Spanish ladies will get back into this. But it becomes 0-2 to the Colombian ladies. And I averaged down. I laid the Colombian ladies at even shorter odds, back the Spanish ladies at even bigger odds. If they were to score to make it 1-2, it reduces your risk hugely from £51 red down to £25 red. But they were 1.22 pre-match and they were bossing Spanish ladies throughout. They made it 2-2. So those of you who waited for that second goal, you'd have to bail out. £2.24 loss, far better than a £51 loss, isn't it? Well done to the Spanish ladies. This was Lahti and HJK Helsingborg, and this ends 1-2, but we don't lose. We broke even. Find out how? You'll have to join footballtradingprofits.com. Leuven and Genk. Again, another late lay here. Limited liability at the start of the season. And once we get the goal from Genk, the equaliser, we start seeing the green. And don't forget, your risk will determine the profit size. So as I keep saying, double that, you double that. Move the decimal point to the right, move the decimal point to the right. But don't forget, if you want to increase your risk, you're going to have to increase the amount you will lose potentially. Okay? So it's all linked. So this may, on the surface, not look huge, but it's 11% of 100. Put it that way. If you're looking to aim for 3 figures in your trading session, that's 11% of the way there. So your risk is proportionate to your reward. This is options at exit. This is something you'll learn at footballtradingprofits.com. There's no one way to get out of a trade. There are multiple ways. It's all dependent on the amount of time left, the in-play stats, how strong you are on the side a goal down. So if you fancy Genk to get the win, you could negate that £7.40, load up profit on Genk and sit back. If they score, great. If they don't, break even. And this is what I call insurance, something you'll learn at footballtradingprofits.com. HJK Helsinki couldn't score, but hey, it doesn't matter. We broke even. All of those green screens were taken from the Telegram channel, footballtradingprofits.com members. All solid stuff yesterday. Some really good calls. Why? Because it's familiar leagues. It's leagues I know, leagues I can trust. Looking on to today, and it's another mixed bag, but I'm excited by it. The SPL continues. Newly promoted sides, Dundee United. It's a local derby, so on that basis, you give Dundee United every chance. But it is a newly promoted side. Dundee have been facing SPL sides all last season. So really, they are good at that level. But we will see. Derby-style match to start off the afternoon. Probably not going to play this one unless there's emphatic stats. St Mirren and Hibs, again, you're going to learn at footballtradingprofits.com that these kind of odds equal too tough to call. If the market makers can't call it, what chance have you got? 5th against 7th from last season, 2-2, 2-3 away win, and a 0-3 away win for St Mirren in head-to-head. So St Mirren favoured in the last 3 head-to-heads. So let's have a look. Hibs were okay on the road last season, losing only twice in 13 matches against third and lower. So it's a good battle. That's why it's 2.37 the favourite. An equal good argument based on last season's form for both teams. Celtic against Killie. Celtic must win, with Rangers dropping points to Hearts yesterday. Both teams scored in the last 3 head-to-heads last season, but 1-1 home draw and a 3-1 away defeat for Celtic against Killie last season. Again, it's a tough opener for Celtic. I wouldn't be as short as the market makers are here based on last season. Yes, that fits in with 1.14 quote. Belgian Jupiler League, very little I can pass on to you at the moment. Top 3 from last season, hence, again, you're getting a market who's not too sure. Cercle Brugge against Kortrijk, this is more like it, 1.55 home favourite. 3-0 away loss against Westerlo for Cercle Brugge last season. So, might not be as straightforward. Standard Liège, Club Brugge, 10th against 4th. This is a real drop for Standard Liège, who should be title contenders. 0-0 away against Genk in their opener. 1-1 for Club Brugge against Mechelen in theirs. 2 drop points, you'd have to say. Club Brugge dominated that match. So it's time to start getting your first win of the season on board. Ghent and Dender, newly promoted Dender. Good 0-0 in their opening match against Union Saint-Gilloise. Tough opener. But Dender came through it. Likely, they're going to be reminded that they're now in the top flight today. Danish Super League, 2.3 the favourite. You know the drill. Copenhagen, the old reliables at 3 o'clock. Got us a nice trade last time out. Conceding first, easy win afterwards. Brøndby scored 3 goals. Well, 3 goals were scored in the 90 minutes in their comeback, where they were losing on 3 occasions during their match got out for a 3-3. So they look reliable as well, Brøndby. Finnish Veikkausliiga, Oulu against Ilves. We got HJK yesterday. Oulu and Ilves. Oulu will look layable if leading. Ekenäs, newly promoted. Ekenäs are playing Haka today. No draw in 7, no draw in 10. So you could lay that late draw. Or you might even want to lay the draw initially. Ekenäs vulnerable, it seems, as a newly promoted side at home. Gnistan, another newly promoted side, are playing VPS. Only 4 wins for the newly promoted side. VPS, no win in 3 away. They have scored and conceded in the last 5. Strong second half concession rate for VPS. It's a mystery. My close showbiz pal Toya Wilcox would say, why are VPS not short of price? But you have to respect the market. 2.2, suggesting something is up. Only 1 loss home and away against 8th and lower. I don't understand why VPS are not stronger favourite. Maybe there's an injury I don't know about. So you've got to respect the market. This is a clash of the big guns. Top 3. Derby-style match, top 3 clash. So it's a watching brief for me, I think. The Norwegian Eliteserien, not the finest league in the world. But let's have a look what it says here. Oslo. Both teams have scored all bar one of those matches against the top 8 where Oslo have only won 1. Is that an angle? If they score against the top 8 side away, they don't tend to win. HamKam against Viking. Vikings 3 defeats and 2 1-0 defeats. Is that something we can rely on? But HamKam have scored 2 goals only once at home. So, pick your battles. Kristiansund and Lillestrøm. 1.8 favourite Lillestrøm. Put in some good stats in their last match, but weren't rewarded. No draw in 7. Might want to lay any late draw there. They have conceded in the last 11, so they'll need to score today. Lay any late draw. Expect second half goals if it's a quiet first half. 6 out of 8 goals conceded came second half in Lillestrøm matches. Sarpsborg against Sandefjord. I put the brakes on this one. 12th against 16th. It's an Arthur Daly match, this one. Don't fancy this at all. Look at the 1.8 favourite. They've lost 7-1 against 13th and 0-1 against 15th. And you expect me to back them at 1.8. As Les Dennis would say. Strømgodset and Brann. 8th against 3rd. So you've got an automatically biased towards 3rd in the league. They do score and concede. 6 consecutive under 2.5 goal matches is a warning sign that Strømgodset might be tough to beat initially. But look at the amount of goals scored second half by Brann. So you've got an angle in for the second half if it's a quiet first half. Allsvenskan have only researched the 1 match. The other 2 are 2.2 or thereabouts the favourite. I'm not going to waste time on them, but I will be looking at them in play. Djurgården look very readable today. Only 4 defeats. Look very good indeed. I'm with the market. Quite simple. So let's have our usual stroll through Soccer24's coupon. See if there's any other leagues that I've missed out on today. Austrian Bundesliga, Blau-Weiß Linz and Rapid. Now, can you see why I haven't researched this? Hands up at the back. Yeah, the market. Early season, 2.25 the favourite. It's not worth my time. I can't provide you with anything research-wise. Belgian Julep League. Don't forget to star your matches of interest or your leagues of interest. They'll go into the My Games facility. What we tend to do that for odds-ons, as you'll see in a live chat webinar next week, where we'll open up the live chat. I would pay close attention to this Chinese Super League. The in-play stats in these leagues have been excellent. And when you've got excellent in-play stats, it means it's readable. It's my favourite team. Father Ted team. Beijing, go on, Father. Have a cup of tea. So I'll follow them. Jack Crilly playing up front. Croatian HNL1 League. Great to see that back as well. Some familiar names and some strong favourites. Hashtag split. Rijeka, Osijek. Rijeka involved in Europe midweek against Honadora from Romania. Czech 1 League, well worth following, but he had the big guns out yesterday. Poulsen didn't score. We had Sparta Prague and Slavia Prague the day before. Danish Super League, Copenhagen, old reliables. Brøndby, old reliables. Lovely jubbly. Moving on down. This is what we want, isn't it? Leagues you can have an air of confidence about reading the matches rather than flapping about with the Norwegian First Division and the Swedish Superettan, which are god-awful. German Bundesliga 2. Time for us to check in the Bundesliga 2. Any newly promoted, newly relegated. fcstats.com. Let's check this out. Bundesliga 2. Off to Germany we go. We go Bundesliga 2. We look at last season. And it's just a simple compare and contrast for last season. St. Pauli are in the Bundesliga and they've got brilliant, brilliant home support. You're going to be, I would recommend you watch one of their matches. Mental home support. As you get in Germany, fantastic country for football. Darmstadt, Dusseldorf. I think, let's have a look. Darmstadt, Dusseldorf, third last season. Darmstadt, newly relegated, I think. So that's one for the watch list already. Greuther Fürth and Preußen Münster. Let's have a look. Preußen Münster, I think, newly promoted. Greuther Fürth were there last season. So we've got another of interest. Preußen Münster, newly promoted. Are they going to be vulnerable? Ulm against Kaiserslautern. Ulm sound like a side I've never heard of before. Kaiserslautern 13th last season. Ulm newly promoted. They're certainly not coming from the Bundesliga. So we've got an interesting set of fixtures today in the Bundesliga 2. Newly promoted or newly relegated. So good stuff. I wouldn't go down to the Bundesliga 3, even though we've got some very familiar names. Old Bundesliga sides, Ingolstadt, Arminia Bielefeld, Cottbus, City Limits, Tina Turner's favourite team. I'm not going to be looking at those, but I could give them a watch in case the market's liquid. Familiar names. As I continue our stroll down soccer24.com, we're going to Irish Premier Division. I haven't researched that today, but I will look at it in play. Toto Cup, no familiar names really, apart from Hapoel Haifa. They'll get a mention. We've still got the lower tiers in the Coppa Italia. We've got 1.57 favourite, which I'll keep an eye out on. And M, nothing yet in the M department. Johan Cruyff Shield, fantastic stuff. PSV against Feyenoord. Watch out, new manager syndrome for Feyenoord. Of course, Arne Slot has gone to Liverpool. Norwegian Eliteserien, great to see that here today. We've had a look through that already. Obosligen, we'll get a look, but probably not a trade. Working our way down, Polish Ekstraklasa. We'll stick that on the notebook. We're looking at the matches each week, so there's an air of familiarity about it. I think Motor Lublin are newly promoted. You can, again, check this out if you wanted by going to the Polish Ekstraklasa from last season. Leagues, Poland, Ekstraklasa, regular season, last season. Click on this and you can have a quick, simple compare and contrast. And then you can determine which sides to focus on. Motor Lublin, I think, are newly promoted. Yeah. So watch out for them. Motor Lublin, newly promoted, playing Korona Kielce, who I think were in the 14th last season. Slask Wroclaw, that's postponed. Legia Warsaw, Piasklevici, both in the top flight. As you can see, 3rd against 10th from last season. If you want to just have a look at what they did last season, you click on the team's name, home for the home side, and you'll get an indication. You've also got head-to-heads, both teams possibly to score with Legia not losing. That would be the idea. They look to have got all of their wins against 6th and lower last season. Piasklevici, you look at their away form from last season, and it looks as if they don't travel well, and they don't tend to score that second goal. They did so only twice, which infers that if they score first, they might not score that second goal. Of course, we're making a big assumption that last season's form will continue on through. That's not always the case, because you've got teams have bought new players in. Romanian 1 League, we'll get a look. We've got some familiar names, Craiova and Cluj, but this is a Cluj derby, so just be a little careful with derbies, as I hope I've got the message through to you from earlier. Scottish Premiership continues. I think those odds are far too short for those head-to-heads, but we will see. It's a must-win for Celtic already to get a 2-point advantage over Rangers. Watch out for Hearts. There could be a thorn. They actually beat Celtic, I believe, last season at home. Allsvenskan, Superettan, we'll get a look. We've got Oster. This is not Osters from Denmark, who I really like. This is the other Oster. But odds-on favourites are to be embraced. And as you'll see in the live chat webinar next week, we do target odds-on favourites. Winter Tour and the Swiss Super League. Again, you can have a quick look. Winter Tour and Yverdon. I'm not sure that Winter Tour are newly promoted. Young boys, something is wrong with our old pals, the Young Boys. I don't know what it is. 4 consecutive defeats. Well, 3 consecutive league defeats. Something is wrong. This lot, normally ultra reliable. Maybe they're actually playing with young boys. I'm not too sure, because it's all gone Pete Tong. And that's it. We've got the friendlies today as well. They're much of a muchness. All of the big guns have already played, I think, in America. Atalanta. See, we played the Leeds yesterday, but I'll get involved in favourites if you're in friendlies if you're laying at 1.05. Yes, but these are not to be relied on at all. We had Bristol City absolutely bossing their match yesterday. That ended 0-0. They don't need to win. They're mentally switched off. Don't need to win at all. Can't be bothered. Why do we need to bust a gut? It's only a friendly. And then you've got 2 different teams in both halves. So just treat that very warily. Tennis-wise, there's very little to excite with the obvious 2 reaching the final there. We've still got the hard court tennis. And then we've got hard in Montreal. This is pre-Grand Slam. So take this seriously. We haven't got the odds up yet. So again, it's late evening kickoffs. Here's my old mate, Tennessee Kokonakis, mate. Straight, mate. So we've got a lot of familiar names because they need to be getting hard court tennis under their belts prior to the Grand Slam. You can see the women's in Toronto as well, Canada. But I'll be sticking with the football today. So I'll see you. I don't know when the start is, probably 12:30 or thereabouts, or 1:30 for this. But as you know very well, derby-style matches, they can be tough to read. Have a great day today. I really hope you made a solid profit yesterday. At least you did if you're a member of footballtradingprofits.com, of course. But I'll be opening up a live chat webinar next week to introduce the English Championship, League 1, League 2. And we'll be looking at elements such as your trading setup, how to get yourself organised for the day as well, what you'll need. You'll need a scores facility and all the rest. In-place stats feed, everything else. Have a great day, and I'll see footballtradingprofits.com members for some more beautiful profits on Telegram. Look at this, lovely stuff. Don't think we made a loss yesterday. If we did, it was about 4 or 5 quid. And I've got to thank the Spanish ladies in particular for getting that second goal, getting me out of jail. Brilliant stuff throughout. Really hope you enjoyed it yesterday, and I hope you were able to follow my thought processes. And you can see some really good stuff all the way through. One lesson to learn. One lesson to learn. Let's take you back to Paderborn. One lesson to learn, and that is once you've pressed that green screen button, it doesn't matter what happens afterwards. Even if it's this small, it's all relative, as I've already said, to the amount risked. You take this, it's locked in. It's 8% of your £100 target for the day, for example. It's locked in. The match ends. If you're quite happy for the match to end 1-2, quite happy to take a £5 loss in the hope of increasing that to a £25 profit, or even better, £115 hurt the billing. They were the home side after all. Once you've greened up, you're guaranteed your profit. Have a great day, and I'll see Telegram members, footballtradingprofits.com, throughout the day. Let's get you some more of this lovely green